Hey folks, Quilly18 here, and welcome to some more pre-release gameplay footage from Sid Meier's Civilization 6. 2K flew me and some other press people out to New York to get our hands on this game. We could play up to 150-ish turns or so, and obviously the game is 3 months away from the release, so a lot of things are subject to change. They're still working on the game, and none of the numbers in particular are fixed. Neither is the user interface at this point in the game. Personally, I am in a bit of a pickle. One, London is in a terrible place. I did not re-roll last time, although I probably should have, because London is kind of weak sauce over here for reasons that will become, again, even more evident a little bit later on. In addition to that, I have a barbarian swarm come in from the southeast because some scouts found me and started spamming me with warriors and slingers, as well as I'm sending an unescorted settler out to the west because, you know, that's the winning move in Civilization, is to never escort your settlers because nothing bad will ever happen to them. Anyway, outside of London, I do have a builder who's waiting to be able to eventually reach the wheat once we clear out that one warrior. But we have done a pretty good job of fighting and pushing everyone back a little bit. We're 3 turns away from developing archery, which is going to be quite nice. I think I may have built one. Did I build a slinger? I think I may have built one slinger. I'm not sure. And he may have just bit the bucket. Or kicked the bucket. Yeah, kick the bucket. But the archer is going to be a heck of a lot better to have 3 turns away from there. The archers will have a range of 2 as opposed to the slingers a range of 1, in addition to quite a bit more damage, and that should help us put a real pin in the barbarian invasion once and for all once we get there. We're also at 0 of 1 trade routes. If you look at the very top, I have trade routes. I also have access to some milk. Building a trade route would be very good for our economy, as well as starting to build some roads. Trade units do build roads automatically as they just path around over here. So we're just smashing our way forward. We're trying to get that barbarian encampment so they stop spamming stuff, but they have a lot of units. Just an overwhelming amount. I do have the social policy in place to give my units +5 strength against barbarians, which is going to help considerably. Yeah, let's get another warrior there. Okay, I did build a trading unit, and it should be able to trade with Jerusalem pretty safely. Jerusalem doesn't have a quest, I don't remember. Oh yeah, it's to build a campus, which once we get to that point in London, you're going to see exactly why London is a terrible, terrible, terrible city. We got a Eureka, some free progress towards bronze working, which is very nice. And I can build a trade route towards Jerusalem. You can see here it'll give me 3 gold and 1 faith from sending it in that direction. And by initiating a trade route, I get a Eureka towards currency as well. So again, a little bit more free research in that direction. Really nice, especially when it's the sort of thing you're already planning on doing regardless. I think every technology in the game has some sort of Eureka stuff. Some things are going to be easier to do, other things will be less easy to do. Some things will just be something that you do almost every game. Some things will be something that's easy to do if you've got a particular slingshot. And other things will be something that would be mostly relatively inconvenient. But I think it is going to add a lot of variety to the start because of the different ways to boost some of the tech ups, right, depending on priorities. Here, I really just had to worry about military priority right now. I did not try to kill a barbarian unit to accelerate bronze working. It's just the sort of thing I had to do to keep myself alive. I'm desperately trying to push to the barbarian encampment, which I think once we pan back down, we'll be able to see. It was just hiding in the fog over there. And you can see here the colorized map that shows you good places to settle. I think this is a lot better than the Civ 5 and actually previous versions of Civ, where they would sort of pick specific spots. Here they just highlight in green anything that's relatively good, which I think is a lot better. It really encourages people to make their own decisions, and half the time the AI suggestions were wrong anyway. So here it highlights in red anywhere you can't settle because you're too close to a city, which I love because counting tiles is something that I'm bad at. And then it shows in green particularly good spots, like maybe you want to go along a river, which gives you access to a couple of different building types. One of the discussions, though, which actually I had with this particular settler is, do you settle along the river, or because some districts themselves want to be along rivers, do you settle away from the river to give yourself more spots for districts? As it comes out, the 2K people felt, I mean, just because they make the game doesn't mean that they're going to be the best at it, but they did feel that settling on the river is fine. There's lots of other river tiles for your districts. You're going to be totally okay. And I like settling on rivers. It feels good. It feels like the sort of thing cities should do historically. So I think that's really, really good right there. What are we constructifying next? We're getting another warrior. We're going to attack across the river over here, but that's a pretty weakened unit. And then we're going to get started on our first archer. Lovely. I can't remember. I think there might be something like build 2 archers, and that'll be a Eureka as well. And Cleopatra here has denounced me because I'm currently weak. Cleopatra is a leader that loves strength. She will like any civilization that is stronger than her, and she will dislike anyone who is weaker than her. She will pick on weak people and try to suck up to the strong, which is exactly what a human would be doing, which is kind of scary to consider, actually. You don't actually want your AIs to play like humans. You want your AIs to play as like stereotypical historical figures within that context. So I'm going to move across here with the builder because it is outside of range of all these warriors. Luckily, the warriors are all pretty damn beat up because there are a lot of them, but they're very weak. The AI is clearly quite good at running away, which is nice. I'm hoping that Egyptian scout over there, that Scoot and Boot, doesn't go and ninja the barbarian encampment, but otherwise I don't mind having it there because it's probably going to distract some of the barbarian units. Here they did attack into me. Barbarians are quite aggressive. They don't really have anything to lose. They don't represent a civilization. They'll also, and this will catch you off guard, they will be quite happy to attack from out of a barbarian encampment. So in Civ 5, units that were in barbarian encampments very rarely attacked out of it. In Civ 6, they are definitely a lot more aggressive, so do be on guard for that. So clearly going to have to pull that warrior back. We've got an archer as well. I think I want to do a swappy-do over here. It's interesting, for all the extra movement costs, it looks like... Now, river crossing do eat your extra movement, but I think river crossing out from a city seems to be an implicit bridge provided by the city. There we go. We're going to get some shooty, some range bombardment. Good to see that. And of course, I'll be quite happy to melee the slinger with my warrior as soon as I get a chance. Here, we're going to go ahead and build a farm there. One of the buttons, by the way, that is on the builder that I haven't really played with and most likely won't do much is the ability to harvest a resource. Rather than building a farm on the wheat, I could have just harvested it, which would have basically killed the wheat, gotten rid of that tile improvement, but instantly given me a huge and immediate bonus. And there may be reasons to do that. Maybe there's ways to abuse it for territory that you might lose, or I don't know what. You know, if you're really planning on rushing something, it's a really interesting idea. I'm just curious to see in practice how much use it'll get. And we've got Bristol over there on the west. One of the things you may not realize is in Civ 5 or Civ 6, the name order of cities is randomized. I mean, I think the first city that England settles will always be London, but after that there's a randomization. It doesn't just, go down a list in order, which I think is going to add a lot more variety to the game. And I like that. We've unlocked writing! Hooray! Hurrah! So we can finally build a campus, which is good for science, as well as giving us that quest from Jerusalem. And if I click it here, no, maybe I'll wait. I might finish and wait until this setter. There. Look. Normally, it would show me that tiles here would give me +1 research if you build a campus here. None of the tiles where I could build a campus would give me +1. You can see here it gets an adjacency bonus for each mountain and a lesser one for each adjacent district and rainforest tile. If I bought a whole bunch of tiles out of London, I could technically put this adjacent to a mountain. But until I spam other districts, this campus literally would do nothing for me, which is really unfortunate. Whereas if you maybe start as Brazil and you start in the middle of a rainforest, you put down a campus, you could be getting 4 or 5 science a turn from that thing, which at this point would, look at our science, it's 5.9. It would double our science if we were in that situation. So London is doomed to be a little science poor. Bristol does start closer to the mountains, so it's going to be a little easier to build a campus there. And in fact, you could ring the mountain with campuses, and at which point each campus would give you 3 science, because 1 from being adjacent to the mountain and 1 for each of the adjacent campuses. Assuming that the math works out that way. I know it says standard and minor, but I think it might have worked out to that. Or maybe some of them are giving a half and there's a rounding thing. That's possible. We'll have to investigate that. But when I was placing them, which will happen later on in the game, I'm pretty sure that's the sort of behavior we were seeing. So we'll see how it works out in practice. And again, there may have been rounding things and display things and whatnot. But Bristol will have the ability to provide a little bit of science. Whereas London, again, could technically reach out and build 1 campus adjacent to the mountain, and certainly can get more district adjacency bonuses, but that's about it, which is really, 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 really disappointing, and not going to be very pleasant for us, because we're going to have a hard time getting any kind of technological edge over our opponents. On the other hand, being at the edge of a continent, like we are here, does give us the opportunity to perhaps expand a little bit more freely and with less competition. We know that there's only going to be civilizations to our west in some form, west/northwest in some fashion. And that puts us in a much, much better situation defensively, which is good. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go and clear out that encampment before someone respawns over there. It does, of course, mean that my warrior will be a little bit weakened, but by bombarding this guy, I was like, probably my warrior can sustain one attack. So we get an inspiration boost over there. We clear that out. We get a bunch of money. Actually, have tons of money here, and what I should have been doing is rush buying some more things. But, and actually, I'm going to buy some tiles here to steal some territory from the edge of the city-state, making sure the city-state doesn't steal the dies, which I probably should have done sooner. But, I've been playing a lot of Civ 5 with the community balance mod, and one of the things that you can't do in there is rush buildings. You can only like rush half of it. So it's my AI no longer thinks of, oh yeah, you can instantly buy buildings. This is the ideal way to dump gold. In fact, because in this game buildings don't cost gold as an upkeep, you don't have the financial pressure is very, very different. You're not as frequently of a risk of going negative in the income unless you have a really, really big army, which does still cost maintenance. And I don't think roads cost maintenance either because of the way that they're built. But on the other hand, unit upgrades are very, very expensive, and buildings are not cheap to instantly buy. And as such, there's still plenty of gold sink, but it's going to feel, I think, a lot more fun and productive than rather just like, oh, I'm running a deficit because I built one too many granaries or something stupid like that, which does not feel good. And as someone who, like myself, who really, really enjoyed playing Civ 4, for example, where there was no building maintenance, Civ 5 I really never enjoyed the gold cost of the buildings in Civ 5 and other versions of Civ. And so I'm totally happy about the idea that you're no longer punished for really developing a city. If you're developing a city with a lot of buildings, then shouldn't it be kind of financially self-sustaining? That was kind of the whole point of cities in the first place. So I'm quite in favor of this move over here. So I don't know what's next on my docket here. I'm building that settler. Oh, I'm finally checking the purchase tab here. And yeah, I don't have enough money to purchase anything else, but that's going to be okay. There was still a complaint about one of my cities, I think, being capped on amenities, which I suspect is probably London. We just need some extra technology or something to unlock some higher end amenities over there. And certainly getting some more resources would also be quite nice. So we need to get our calendar up and running at some point to be able to hook up the dyes and the wine, get some plantations going on. I don't remember what's near Bristol at all, actually. But it looks like there's a couple of good places for a city. Northeast of London is pretty good. And actually, you'll see me place one in the southeast of London as well, even though that area is pretty tundra-rific and not particularly exciting. Oracle is a very good wonder. +1 to all great power person points is really good. But here, I think I'm trying to place a campus, right? Checking the holy site as well. But I've got the mission for the campus. I need some science. And you can see, though, again, when I try to put down the campus, one science is all I'm going to be getting from that. So do I prioritize it? Do I get something else? Again, usually when I play, I don't tend to get wonders too often because it's often quite hard to compete against the AI at higher difficulties. And in fact, you're usually better off, rather than building a wonder, build an army and then go conquer the city of people who have built the wonders. It's usually a really, really good move. So we're going to build a campus on there. It'll still get the 2 production and 1 food, but if we build a campus on there, it'll also give us +1 science or +1 faith from the holy site, either way. But science is pretty good, and I specifically have a quest. If I complete it, Jerusalem will give me an extra envoy over there, which is going to be really handy, and I'm going to appreciate it tremendously. So moving my units back in to do some healing. I still have a barbarian encampment in the north to go and deal with. Luckily, it haven't really been spamming me with too many things, so it should be relatively okay to deal with. You've got a heal there, but yeah. Don't move out too quickly there, Quill. You can definitely move out with the archer. And actually, by the time I get there, I realize, oh, there's still a goodie hut there. No one's ever touched it. Oh my god. Okay, good. I assumed, after my scout died, I assumed the goodie hut was gone, so I never bothered to go back for it, but there it was. I mean, I assumed someone else would have beaten me to it. So this one reveals iron. It's very exciting, and of course, this being your standard game of Civilization. How much iron do we have? 0. 0 iron is the answer. I have no iron whatsoever. In fact, there's not even any iron anywhere near me. So, hooray! But that's just the way Civilization goes, right? It doesn't matter what it is. There's going to be something missing. You're not going to have coal or oil, or you're going to be missing something in the late game, and it's going to be demoralizing. But the fact that we don't have iron probably means that this London start has some good late game resources. But of course, this demo is limited to how many turns we can play. Therefore, the late game is not really something we're going to take advantage of. So, London is a crummy start altogether. We've got no ability to produce science. We've got no iron. It's a little bit demoralizing. But again, that's Civilization. You've got to make the best of it after you're done. So yeah, we're happiness capped somewhere, and we're amenity capped as well. I mean, you don't get capped on amenities, you just get a penalty to various productions. You'll see later on, I'll start clicking on the button that actually shows you what happens if you're negative or positive amenity. It's on the city panel. I don't think I didn't know where it was at this time, I think, and I hadn't gone around clicking on everything. So I'm moving some units to the north to pop that barbarian encampment. Get a little bit more XP, get some more gold. I don't remember there. It's possible that there could have been more Eureka's potential possible from that, but we'll see. Note that unlike improvements built by builders, districts do not build instantly. That campus is slowly being built up. We've got 8 more turns left to go over there. And we've got a slinger coming up from behind. Right, so I could have chosen a more direct route to go and pop the barbarian encampment sooner, but I think I decided to go for the unit kills as a higher priority. Feel like the scout's probably fine over here. The Egyptian scout. It might come up north and try to pop the barbarian encampment. If it does, well, it's not the end of the world. You can see the road that was built by the trade unit there. Very nice. Very cool. One of the tricks that we did discover along the way is you can cancel your trade unit sooner. This is actually something that Arumba figured out, is you can just cancel your trade unit, which I don't believe was something you could do in Civ 5 ever. And so I didn't even think to try it here in Civ 6, but you can, after, say, build the road somewhere, then cancel the trade unit and send it somewhere else. Obviously, that'll interrupt the flow of trade, which might not be ideal, but if your priority is to rush roads, that is one way to do it. So I've got another settler going out there, trying to get as much coastal presence as possible, although, again, you don't actually need to be on the coast to build boats. But it seemed like a good place. There's the double crab over there, plus the salted crabs. And we've got a unit promotion available. But again, if you promote a unit, it ends your turn. So that becomes a lot more complex when you're attacking a city. You don't just take the free promotion and keep whacking at things. If you promote, it means you don't do anything. But you do get the free heal as well, right? You heal actually 50 hit points, plus you get your promotion effect, which is quite potent. So again, I keep thinking, oh, do I build a wonder? Don't I? What do I do? Again, yeah, that campus sucks. Although, you can see there, if I bought all the way over to the mountain, I could go and build a decent campus or holy site over there. So it's technically possible if I want to do that. Or I could build more units, or I could rush out another settler. There's that granary, too, I keep looking at. Oh, there we go. I finally click on the amenity screen. If I close, choose production. There you go. You can see what's resulting in positive or negative amenities and what's happening. So I got 15% penalty to growth and a 5% penalty to non-food yield. So I'm making 5% less science and production and gold, presumably, from having negative amenities. And there's really nothing I can do to resolve that at this point because I don't have access to the entertainment site. I can build the encampment, which if you have an encampment in your city, first of all, it can't be adjacent to your city. It has to be at least 1 tile away. But I think other than that, there's no restrictions. The encampment is where your military units would spawn out of, as opposed to the city. And if you built city walls, your encampment, you'd be able to bombard from that as well as the city itself, which is really, 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 really powerful. Also, you need the encampment to be able to build barracks and whatnot. So cities that are going to be building units will definitely need an encampment, but it may not be the sort of thing you spam in every single city. It'll depend how you want to do that. But that is not an amenity. So I think, yeah, it is my turn, so I'm going to be able to snag that for 50 gold. Excellent. Bring me up to 142. Not quite enough to build any buildings, but still a lot of value to gold here, and I should be able to attack there, yeah. Whack the scout. I don't think it's going to be a kill, though. No, but that leaves me enough hit points that I should be able to survive anything the warrior plus scout decide to do to me, so that should totally be fine. Got another warrior slowly moving on. By the way, if you've noticed that little number 1 on the warrior's icon, that just says that he's level 1. He's gotten 1 promotion, is what that means. So you can tell at a glance on the map which of your units have been promoted and therefore are likely to be slightly more powerful, which is nice to see. Scooch up here with the archer, which the archer has a promotion as well. And then I think I'm trying to decide what order I'm going to do it. Am I going to shoot one and then melee the other? Shoot both? What am I going to do? Here, I think I get really lucky. I kill that warrior, and there's a chance I kill the scout. The average result will leave them with a sliver of health, and indeed, that's exactly what happened over there. So he does survive, but he's not going to survive one more round after that. So we're going to settle to the north by the crabs over here. We still got Egypt, who's kind of cranky pants with us. Jerusalem's gone to size 6, and it's got a heavy chariot being built, which is nice. Still has that little quest icon you can see next to the name of Jerusalem there, but we are 4 turns from completing our campus in Bristol, which should complete that quest. Here, we're going to try to see if I can talk to Cleopatra or find out anything going on here. You do have a few different things you can look at for the relationship. You can get a breakdown of various modifiers that are making them like you or dislike you, although at the start, a lot of those modifiers will simply say unknown. You'll know you're getting a -5 from something, but you won't know from what until you get spies over there. So the spy functions are going to be quite good. So here we go. I got a promotion for my warrior. I like attacking, so +7 when attacking is quite good, but the turtle is pretty good too. It's +10 when defending against range. It's quite specific, but it is a very, very potent ability. In fact, later on, we're going to see exactly how dangerous city bombardment can be once there's a little bit of real warfare going on. So skipping through the turns over here. At this point, the turns are still relatively quick. I will say they will slow down later on, but again, this is a preview build and a lot of unoptimization still, and all the debug info. As someone who's a programmer, I know what it's like to leave in a whole bunch of extra checks. It's probably dumping a bunch of data to a debug log on every single turn, and that slows down programs quite significantly. So I'm hoping we see a performance game by the time the game is released. We'll see exactly how that goes. In particular, you'll notice when there's a screen transition, either from this screen to diplomacy or from this screen to strategic view, there's a little bit of a pause there, and I suspect that's the sort of thing that will likely go away. A real quick purchase of Monument over there. One of my favorite things to do, start pushing the borders out there. Not to mention, getting extra culture is always good. I mean, it's good in Civ 5, but it's even more important here in Civ 6, where your cultural tree is like a second tech tree and is therefore that much more important. It was important in Civ 5, but it's more important here in Civ 6. So getting that quick culture is good, and I love pushing up borders really fast. Hey, Lisbon! That's one of the reasons I always like playing Shoshone in Civ 5. I mean, yeah, they were OP for all kinds of different reasons, but it was more, I like the convenience. What do you want? You want me to build a campus district as well? Hey, perfect! We're already doing that. I just like the convenience of having the tiles push out. Cleopatra is now saying, I have a strong military. I think there's a lot of placeholder text there. That's what you're seeing in the parentheses. They haven't, necessarily written all the dialogue that they want for that. Not all of the voice acting was in. In fact, quite a lot of the voice acting seemed to be a placeholder from programmers. So I suspect that's the sort of thing. You've got all the localization efforts. There are different categories. What happens with these press builds? What happens is, most likely the code that we're playing on here is already a few weeks old. And what they do is they sort of freeze a version that is has a certain set of features that they want to show off, has the game developed to a certain point and is semi-stable, and then they pass it off to like some QA team, which just goes and hammers the hell out of it for a while to get it to be, free of crashing bugs and that sort of thing as much as possible, and any obvious typos. And so meanwhile, we're playing this sort of frozen version while the rest of the development goes on. And especially when you're in a bigger company, you can often go and you've got a separate group that's working on localization, on dialogue, like written dialogue, as well as the voice acting categories. So we'll be interesting to see exactly who they have doing all the various voices. Again, some things were in, the tech stuff was in, but not everything. And I think it's gotten to that point. There's a point in the game development where early on when you're playing an incomplete and broken game, you're like, yeah, it's all right, it's fine, but I can live without it. And then at a certain point, it hits that level of, okay, I'm really enjoying it, and it's starting to drive me crazy that I don't yet have, that it's not yet October 20th? I think that's when the game comes out. It's not yet October 20th, and I'm starting to get mad about it. The game has reached that point where I want more. That whole one more turn kind of thing, we are there at that point. And so I want more of it. I don't want to be playing a demo that's limited to me being there for 3 hours. I don't want a development build that takes a little bit longer in the turns. I want to lose 200 hours of my life in 1 week to this game. Is that even possible mathematically? I guess it is, but pretty unlikely. But I'm at that point right now, so the hype is starting to be real. I like this little filter here to be able to see the policies by category. Makes it a lot easier to figure out what I'm going to put where. I do like the +1 production in all cities thing. Yeah, there's another policy I could pick for production towards ancient and classical wonders. Of course, I have a pantheon that gives me a bonus towards that. My hope had been to build Stonehenge, and then I realized, oh, you can't build it unless you have stone. So at this point, I've mostly given up on the wonders. Although I keep getting tempted because they keep showing up in the list. I'm like, do I do it? Do I do it? Again, playing a lot of Immortal and Deity has trained me to never go for it. But clearly, I think at this point, if I had gone for the wonders when they became available, I think I'd be able to get almost all of them. But on the other hand, building settlers, I hear building settlers is also pretty good. And having a military so you can fight barbarians and maybe conquer things later on, I hear that's also pretty helpful. So that's okay. Oh, you can see here in Bristol, I can build a library. You need to have a campus before you can do that. But I have done so. And yeah. Oh, did I just buy a tile? I think I just bought a tile. I don't remember. I was looking at my audio screen to make sure everything was coming okay, and I just saw poof. But there's nothing there. I'm not building a district. I don't think. Oh, did I start building Wonder? I may have. Anyway, you guys will know. I don't know. I was looking away off screen, and it's not very convenient for me to rewind here and keep the audio in sync. Envoys, you can see I have 3 envoys in Jerusalem, so I'm getting an extra bonus faith from every from your holy site. And in Lisbon, if I build commercial districts and got to 3 envoys, then I would get more gold there. But I'm just getting plus 4 gold from Lisbon, which is pretty good. Plus 4 gold in my capital. I mean, I'm turning a profit of 12, so that's a lot. That's a 50% boost over my existing net gold income. Of course, I've got some maintenance on top of that, but that actually is really a huge amount of money, and I'm going to put that to good use. I'm going to buy a lot of tiles, I'm going to buy a lot of buildings, and later on I'm going to buy a handful of units as well. So we finished Celestial Navigation, which does give me access to the Lighthouse and Great Lighthouse, and a boat, I believe, is that 3rd icon, or is that my district? I'm not sure. We'll have to see once we get back in there. Actually, yeah, I think my district is one of the things that's unlocked, and I may be having a discussion with someone right here, because I don't think I'm thinking that hard about what technology to buy. I strongly suspect at this point I'm simply having a conversation with either a Roomba who is sitting next to me or some of the 2K developers who were hovering nearby. So I really want iron working for swordsmen, but of course I don't have any iron, so that's not going to happen. The Colossus feels like a very, very thematic thing, because, you know, I do have a lot of coast over here. It doesn't give me the next ship as well, but the Colossus giving us that +1 trade route is pretty phenomenal. Horseback riding also going to be very handy. I mean, I don't know. The stable, I believe, is an upgrade on the encampment. I don't have any of those yet, but it's still a good tech in general. But currency, hey, it turns out that money is pretty good. Helps you get a lot of things done. What a great city spot there. If Lisbon wasn't so near, I would love to settle on the coast there. And in fact, Lisbon is not terribly located for accessing most of the resources. Just not quite all of them. I think I need some more builders here. Let's see. Yeah, we do have a good number of unimproved resources. Have I picked up a calendar yet? If not, I suppose it's not as much of a rush, although I could still get the extra cows over by Leeds to get some more milk. Oh, I'm talking over here about, like, hey, I wonder if I put a city here, does it work as a canal city? Because quite early on, I had realized that it's very likely that the sea to the south of this continent, which is named Australia, it's very likely that it's going to be locked in by ice, that my boats won't be able to get out of there once I start building them in London and Bristol. Again, I'll be able to build them in either one, even though London's not on the coast. Once I build that harbor, that's where the boats come out of. So London is coastal. But I'm betting that if I build boats there, it'll probably be stuck. So I'm like, I'm going to build a city on the tundra there, even though it's not the ideal spot. Oh, here, this is going to be a little bit of a delay. I'm like, what do these swords mean? Right away, I'm like, it seems to me that these numbers kind of match up with the distance between cities, but why the sword icon? So I called over some of the 2K people to ask, like, is there something else I'm not getting? There was a bit of discussion, and it mostly was like, oh yeah, we have the wrong icon in there. And that's all this is. So these numbers are the distance that the route would be required to travel. And also, you can't tell it right here because I've got the City-State of Jerusalem page up, but you can change your trade units to originate from a different city very, very, very easily. So, that still works the way that it works in Civ 5. So I can move the trade unit from London into Bristol and then start a trade route from Bristol to somewhere else if I want. I suspect I'll probably end up with a trade route into Bristol from here, mostly for the road as opposed to the bonus, because getting extra money from Lisbon would be incredibly lucrative. So I think in a second here, yeah, I'm like, so they're like, is it city strength? I'm like, no, I don't think it's city strength. And then at some point I count the tiles and it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's as far as I can tell, it's the distance. So they just have the wrong icon. They're like, no, the sword, that's the icon, the universal icon for hex tiles. But yeah, so we've got the city-state of Jerusalem up. You can see it, if we get 6 envoys, that'll give us an additional +2 faith in every holy site. If you do want to run a super religious civilization, making friends with a city-state is huge. Keep doing those quests because it keep rewarding you with an extra envoy, and you know, put them where you want. On the other hand, the commercial ones, like I like all the city-states feel very, very strong. But it makes sense because you actually have to invest in them, you know, more than just sending them, you know, some generic gold gifts from time to time. You have a limited source of envoys or envoys if you prefer, and you have to dish them out appropriately and make some hard decisions there, which is quite cool. Oh, Geneva over here has got a quest to train a swordsman. Excellent. That'll never happen because I don't have any iron. And on that note of saltiness, we're going to wrap this up, put a cut in here. Thank you very much for watching another episode of this. We're going to continue. I'm going to show you the rest of the footage from this session of Civilization 6 that I played in New York City here, courtesy of 2K. Very excited about this game coming out and excited to show you the rest of what happened in this series. Thanks for watching. See you next time, folks. Bye-bye.